Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on your body's hidden command center. I'm talking about the secret network that runs pretty much every aspect of your life, from your mood to your metabolism, all without you even having to think about it.
So let's just start with this massive question, one that affects every single moment of your life. How does all of this just work? How do you grow, react to danger, and manage your energy without ever making a conscious call?
Well, the answer lies right here. It's all thanks to a super sophisticated, totally hidden communication network called the endocrine system. You can think of it as this silent, invisible headquarters that's running the entire show from behind the scenes. Now, to really wrap our heads around how this whole thing operates, we're not going to think about it as just a random collection of glands. Nope. Let's imagine it as a huge, perfectly run corporation with a really clear corporate ladder. See, every single major decision flows through this exact chain of command. Way up at the top, you've got the CEO, who sets the grand vision. That CEO gives direct orders to a general manager, who then turns around and tells all the specialized departments what they need to do to get the job done. Okay, so let's dive into this org chart, and we're gonna start at the very top. It's time to meet the CEO of you. That CEO is a tiny but unbelievably powerful region of your brain called the hypothalamus. It is the master controller. It's constantly monitoring everything. We're talking body temperature, stress levels, you name it, and it makes all the high-level strategic decisions for your entire body. But of course, every great CEO needs a brilliant general manager to actually turn those big picture ideas into real action. And in our body, that role is absolutely critical. And that general manager is the pituitary gland. It is so important, in fact, that it has this famous nickname, the master gland. Why? Because its whole job is to take the CEO's instructions and make damn sure the rest of the body follows them, to the letter. And what's truly incredible, just mind-boggling, is the amount of power that's packed into this tiny little gland. The pituitary weighs only half a gram. That's about the size of a pea. And yet, it's responsible for managing your growth, your stress, your metabolism, everything. Okay, so this is where things get really fascinating. The CEO, our hypothalamus, doesn't just have one way of talking to its general manager. It actually has two very distinct, very clever ways of giving orders. We can think of these two strategies as a direct line and a memo system. The direct line, that's like a top-secret phone call for urgent, specific commands. The memo system is more like a formal instruction telling the manager, okay, now you need to take some initiative and issue your own set of orders. So think of the direct line like this. The CEO writes a speech, word for word, and just hands it to the general manager to read out loud. The hypothalamus actually produces these hormones, like oxytocin for childbirth and ADH for water balance, and sends them down a direct nerve highway. The posterior pituitary doesn't create a thing. Its only job is to store these messages and release them verbatim when it gets the signal. The memo system, on the other hand, gives the manager way more autonomy. In this case, the CEO sends a little chemical message through a dedicated private blood network. It's called a portal system, kind of like a private courier service. This memo isn't the final order. It's actually a command telling the anterior part of the pituitary, okay, it's your turn to act. You need to start producing and sending out your own set of hormones to all the departments. So here's the crucial point. When that general manager gets one of those memos, it unleashes a whole cascade of powerful hormones. Each one of these is like a specific work order sent out to a different department in the body, telling it exactly what to do, manage the metabolism, handle stress, kickstart growth, you name it. All right, so the orders have been issued by the general manager at HQ. Now let's meet some of the specialized departments down on the ground floor, the ones actually responsible for carrying out these commands. Just take a look at this beautiful balancing act. Your thyroid and parathyroid glands are like two departments working in perfect opposition to manage one critical resource, calcium. And listen, this isn't just about strong bones. Your calcium levels have to be perfect for your nerves to fire and your muscles to contract. So the thyroid releases calcitonin to lower blood calcium, while the tiny little parathyroids release PTH to raise it, maintaining this flawless, delicate balance second by second. And then you've got the adrenal gland, which is like a true two-for-one department. The outer part, the cortex, that's your daily operations team. It handles the long-term strategy, managing blood pressure, and day-to-day stress with hormones like cortisol. But the inner part, the medulla, that's the emergency alarm system. When things get serious, it floods your body with adrenaline for that immediate, powerful fight or flight response. Okay, now that we've met the key players, let's put it all together. We're going to trace one single command, all the way from the CEO's desk down to the final action on the factory floor. Here we go. The stress response. Your brain, the CEO, the hypothalamus, perceives a threat. It immediately sends a memo down to the anterior pituitary. The pituitary, acting as our general manager, then releases its own order, a hormone called ACTH. That order travels through the bloodstream all the way to the adrenal gland department, which gets the message and immediately releases cortisol to help your body cope with the stress. And just like that, there you have it. In a matter of seconds, a simple perception in your brain becomes a physical, chemical reality throughout your entire body. The endocrine system is this unbelievably elegant, invisible network that connects your mind directly to your matter, running your entire life perfectly on autopilot. Which really just leaves us with a final thought. This entire corporate headquarters runs with incredible 24/7 precision. But what happens to the whole company if just one memo gets lost in the mail? Or if one department down the line misreads an order? Well, the consequences can be enormous, everything from metabolic disorders to growth issues, because for all of its power, you realize it's a remarkably fragile system.